Okay, good morning. And we're getting into part 9 of our human trafficking, sex trafficking, American style. And this is part 9. And this is about the darker side of it, which is the human trafficking that really doesn't get spoken about because we tend to be the potential victims in this regard. And what we're going to talk about here in this segment with regards to human trafficking is we're going to talk about the cost involved. Okay? Well, we're going to go into with regards to the copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this video and on Black Women Unprotected YouTube channel are those of the host and or guests and do not necessarily reflect the opinion of Black Women Unprotected YouTube channel. Okay, we're going to get into the high price of human trafficking, or shall I say, the darker side of human trafficking, which is organ trafficking. And as we go into this, you're going to see what lures this. And this is like the ghoulish of the ghoulish. I know we talked about in part 8 where we spoke about body parts that were being found in piles, at these organ transplant centers who had said they would not be doing the actions that they continue to partake in. Okay, we're talking about the almighty dollar here. And this is what's got this industry booming. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And this has been going on since the pandemic. But, it had increased and it is booming. Now we have what is called forced organ removal. Okay, what is forced organ removal? Forced organ removal is harvesting and organ trafficking, and they're interlinked crimes where organs are taken from victims. They use coercion with or without informed consent, and they can also use acts of violence. Okay, so they'll do this. So one way or the other, they're going to extrapolate your organs. No matter what it takes for them to do it, this is what they're going to do. And this is what they are doing. This is happening. And this is happening as we speak. And it's happening right under our noses. This is not just a third world situation like many of us tend to believe. This is going on right here in the United States, American style. Okay? Now, you figure the brain. What is the brain worth on the black market? Okay, well, the market, they make a thief's motives even more incomprehensible. Because see, the brain is not really, believe it or not, the brain is not worth a whole lot. You would think, but it's not. It is not like other organs. So it's not worth a lot at all. Yet you got hearts. Depending on what market and who you're dealing with and who you're getting it from, a heart can fetch as much as $119,000 on the black market. And livers are at a higher state. The only organ that can reproduce itself. Well, that mighty little organ, it could go as much as $157,000. And then you have the kidneys, which keeps the body free and clean of debris because it flushes out. Can't live without your kidneys any more than you could your liver. Well, kidneys can go up to about $260,000 on the black market. Okay, and this is as of June 11, 2015. Okay, this stuff is serious business. And it's really ghoulish, and it's really frightening. And we black folks, we're the major part of this industry. So you got the organ harvesting, okay, and this is from a Deborah B. Pryor, where it talks about our black people being killed for their organs. Well, Dick Gregory, the former comedian turned activist, he thought so. And you know what? He ain't the only one that actually shared that belief. So what I was saying, and I think in part 8 with regards to your organs, you better put it in your will, okay, about your organs. And we're not going to go further into it, because I know I spoke about it previously, about the dangers of being a donor. Okay, with the drive-by shootings, it's organ stealing. This is how the late, great former comedian, who became a social justice and health advocate, Dick Gregory, and this is he opened up his film clip, and he speaks about the realities of organ harvesting. And he tells it like it is. He's not going to miss any kind of words. He's just going to say it out there. Okay, and yes, this is horrific. Yes, this is ghoulish. Yes, this is horrific. But it's more than just a believable reality. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. When you look at the mortality rate of black people, men in particular, and our social climate, this brings a lot of these yesterday's incidents, and you look at it with a clear perspective. What you thought may have been a crime may have been a different kind of crime, and not the crime that you was led to believe that it was. We got a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge, about Dick Gregory's background and about this video. So, this is serious. This is what we got going on here. You have a lot of people who have organ donor listed on their driver's license. And a lot of people did it thinking that they was doing a noble and a compassionate thing. But according to the video, and according to Dick Gregory and others, this very admission, that little pink dot that displayed on your driver's license as a donor, it makes you a moving target. You become a moving target. I had a friend. She had donor. I said, girl, you better get that off of there. I said, you better get that off of there. Because I'm going to tell you, because they'll flag you. And you see you got that pink dot on your driver's license? You think, because law enforcement's involved too. And you got law enforcement, politicians, clergy, the whole nine. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Okay? And they see a little pink dot on your driver's license. Yes, it can make you a moving target. And there are people who in the video had suggested, instead of having this on your driver's license, because, when the police officers, they'll have access to your information when you put that in, you put it in your living will. You need to put this in your living will because they have access to your information. Cops pull you over, they see that pink dot on your driver's license. There you go. Like this young lady here. Right here. She's got that pink dot. And from what I understand, she became a casualty. Bodies found, organs missing. You see that pink dot right there at the bottom? You don't want to do that. You don't want to do it. You don't want that pink dot on there. That is a crosshairs. That's what that pink dot is. It's more like a crosshairs. We think it's noble, but it's not. And the video also promotes the idea that black people's organs are in high demand. Oh yeah, and our organs are in high demand because of melanin. Because of that right there, melanin. So this is what puts us in high demand. Speaking of melanin, in 1920, this English biochemist detailed how to extract melanin from black people. Look at there. Okay? And so you can learn about this according to TrueReads.com. The extraction of melanin from skin, with dilute alkali. See, so this had found that the skin was soaked in boiling water. The outer layer, which contains partially all the pigment, could be readily removed by scraping. This layer, 200 grams, was washed with alcohol and ether to remove grease, and wax boiled with 100 cc's of N2020 sodium hydroxide for 1 hour, under a reflux condenser. It will allow to settle, and the dark liquid can be canted and filtered. Yep, so this is a process that was repeated. See, they want to take our melanin because they know what's up. They know what time it is. We better know too. See, that's why we're in high demand. Because in addition to our organs, we got that almighty melanin. Something that they don't have. And could never have. So having that pink dot on there as as a donor, no, you don't want to have that. Like I said, do a will. You could do like a living will. You could will your organs to family members or friends or other loved ones. Otherwise, something happened to you, your organs are going to be stolen. So this is what they got going on. So they're saying our organs are in a high demand. And it's led in research that's being done by someone who has been paid to see which black people are registered to donate their organs in the event of their demise. And if they see that you're a donor, they'll go ahead and hasten your demise. See, this is where the target party this side comes in. They could hurry your demise along. You could end up in an accident. Somebody might need a liver, and they can't wait for someone to die to get that liver. So somebody needs a liver sooner than later. So you have a lot of people dying daily while waiting for organ availability. So when they do that research, and the person paid, to find a potential donor, the research reveals that a man who lives in L.A. and Los Angeles, California, who's listed as an organ donor. Here's the problem. He's not going to just give his organs to a stranger. This guy is healthy, and he's not dead yet. I ain't planning on dying soon. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to arrange a murder to make it look like he committed suicide. Make it look like an accident. Graphic shows of a car accident. Man getting hit by a Mack truck. The person is presenting the video in that scenario. The person just so happened to be leaving a gas station and all of a sudden get hit by a big Mack truck. The body is taken to the funeral. The family comes to see you. They don't know that before you was laid to rest, a little hole was poked into your body and your kidneys was pulled out. They don't know that your body's been stuffed with newspaper. They don't tell that part. So these are the things that Dick Gregory, he talks about. The cops come by and inform that you've been shot dead. You don't have jurisdiction over that body. It goes to the coroner. You can't even get that body until the coroner releases it. So you can go and pick it up. Then you see all these cuts and stitches. You thought they was just doing an investigation. But what they were doing was stealing your organ. Yep. So, so this is the stuff that's going on here. And then you got families, grieving mothers, who don't even have don't have a recourse. And the courts, they hold it up. There's nothing you can do about it until you can get a court order to have your child's body dug up. It's straight up organ stealing. This has been going on, since slavery. Black organs was considered, superior genetically. So this is what we got going on here. So since our organs are considered superior genetically, so this is what they're doing. So they need that transplant. You got rich people need a heart, liver, and kidney and transplants, but they like to have the black organs. Okay, this is one of the speakers who outlined it in the video. There was a famous case in Pennsylvania, Governor Casey, who was one of the most racist governors ever lived. So this back in the late 80s or early 90s, this guy had a heart transplant. But guess what he got? Guess what heart he got? He got a black person's heart. So then you have other examples where speakers remember, like a young black student, Kendrick, who died. And it was odd. He was found at school in the gym room, wrapped up in a tarp. And they talking about, well, he was going under there looking for a sneaker and ended up dying. So they took it. The body was taken in for autopsy. The family wasn't satisfied. The family had the body exhumed, and they learned that his organs had been stolen. They stuffed this boy's body with newspaper. Stole the organs. Whether you choose to take this to heart, whether you take it to heart or not, okay, it's just up to you. It's a personal matter. But you got to look at this with reality and see the plausibility. That warrants this consideration, something that we just can't overlook. We can't overlook this at all. We have to look at this realistically. Then you have death by donation. Okay? We have that stuff going on. And let me tell you what the death by donation is, according to Wesley Eli. Now, with the death by donation, say you're sick and you're in the hospital. What they'll do is they'll euthanize you for your organs. You're in the hospitals. You got people waiting for organs on the transplant list. You're no doubt heard of the black market organs in foreign countries. But they got other options, that should be off the table. Okay, if you're on the transplant list, would it matter to you if the organ was obtained from a living person who died because because of a donation procedure itself? What if he or she had volunteered? Your thoughts about this here could be beyond the issue of transplantation. And then you have a former co-director at Vanderbilt University in the lung transplant program and a practicing intensive care physician. He sees organ donation as a selfish gift to those approaching death on a waiting list. But yet at the same time, he's wrestling with the emerging collision between worlds of transplantation and euthanasia. Okay, cause of death, organ donation? Really? Okay, you get people that can get into an accident. This is going in Canada's all going in the Western European countries. Where if a person dies by euthanasia with the legalized lethal injection he or she requested, and the body is then operated on to retrieve organs for donation. So it's like that doctor-assisted suicide. Like we had Dr. Kevorkian about 20, 30 years ago, who was dubbed Dr. Death. And he used to help patients who were terminally ill and help assist them with their suicides. Well, that's still being done. People are just not being told about it. And so they have these meetings, which always shift to the emergency question, death by donation. So in other words, you're going to take somebody's life with their informed consent by taking them to the operating room and under general anesthesia, open their chest and abdomen surgically while they are still alive to remove vital organs for transplantation into other people. I don't want heavy painkillers, people say after surgery. But the hospital push opioids on patients anyway. Patients love a miracle, but doctors can't be afraid to deliver bad news, even via robot. And here's another, big deal about death by donation. And they bypass a long honor, the dead honor rule, which forbid removal of vital death organs until the donor is declared dead. Now, death by donation at present, would be considered homicide, murder. Because that's what, if you're going to end somebody's life by taking their organs, that's murder. Because you can't live without your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, and the light, and your liver, things of that nature. So they're going to sit there and take your organs while you're alive, and they got you on some kind of machine, and they're keeping you alive, and they're stealing your organs. That's murder. But this is what they're doing. So there are mechanics to obtaining organs after death. So they'll use euthanasia, or they'll do like a natural cardiac, death. Both already legalized in Canada. Belgium, the Netherlands, can be suboptimal for the person receiving the transplant, because donors occurs to organs by absence of blood flow during the first 5 to 10 minutes of long dying process. So, they call this ischemia time. Excuse, I'm probably mispronouncing it. Death by donation purports to offer a novel solution. Instead of just taking the organs after death, they'll just take the organs while they're still receiving blood. So they'll keep you alive and keep your body pumping blood, and they'll go ahead and take those organs. So it won't be any time the organs will be removed, and it will be direct approximate cause of death. So there's unintended, unavoidable consequences. And this is all, the New England Journal of Medicine, they published an article by 2 Canadian physicians and a group from Harvard Medical School who contended it might be ethically preferable to ignore the dead donor rule if patients declare they do not want to die in order to donate their organs. Well, while literally giving yourself to others' rights seems, a commendable thing when you first look at it. But if you look at the 3 downstream considerations to abandoning the dead donor rule, people with physical and mental disabilities have expressed that they feel stigmatized, that society devalues their life. Would this seem not so subtle message to get out of the way to do something noble with their healthy organs? Okay, how quickly will we see expansion whereby those who can't speak for themselves are included as donors? What does it mean for all of us when our healers, physicians, are in a position that directly overrides nearly 2,500-year-long prohibitions against taking life? Now you look at the case of Ben Matlin. He suffered from a spinal muscular atrophy in 2012, in the New York Times. So he wrote a thin and porous border between coercion and free choice. So if you feel devalued and you don't feel you're worth anything, oh no, they're going to help you and, so they can take your organs and you can just die. So they want to call it like a free choice type of thing. Oh, they want to die and get rid of their organs since they don't feel they have no value. So, you can't really conceive the many subtle forces to die. And while this could be well-meaning, quote-unquote, kind-hearted, even gentler, as yet persuasive as a tsunami. So this emerges when your physical autonomy is hopelessly compromised. Then we got a civil society that treats the most vulnerable members, you know, according to these euthanasia laws that are structured to protect vulnerable populations. But what's the truth though? These people, they don't care. And murder. This is by another name. Euthanasia. That ain't nothing but murder. When you want to sit up here and give somebody medication doses to hasten their death without that patient's consent, the patient's unconscious and may not have family members around them, that's straight murder. You got people that's in the intensive care unit. So they sit up there speeding up these people's death process. Just so they can get their organs. It is really messed up. So this is what we're doing. It's like body snatching, organ snatching. And it's sad. And then you have another thing. People in the hospital who are sick. Don't you know if they have you declared brain dead, they can go ahead and strip your body of all your organs? You could be still alive, but they'll tell your family that you don't have no brain activity. They'll sit there and tell them. See, what's the primary reason that black people are targeted? And why are we preferred above everybody else? It's illegal organ trafficking. This is a global phenomenon. Why are we the face of it? Having your organs harvested illegally at some point in time to do to poor and powerless people around the world who get forced and tricked and terrorized into giving up their organs? But this only seems to happen to melanated people. Black people in particular. Black people, we're made the most dominant substance in the universe. So because black people, we are made of the most dominant substance in the universe. What is that dominant substance? Melanin. And that's why they hate us. White people hate us because they're not black. They hate us because they don't have the gift that we were born with. We were born with melanin. They were not. They can't produce it. So they do all they can to maintain their lifespan. Because as global climate is changing, that's affecting their very survival. So we got that one dominant substance, that melanin. And then get this, the military uses melanin for weapons, armor, and energy storage. Did you know that? Melanin is also used to make spacesuits for astronauts. Did y'all know that? Talk about being immortal. Like Henrietta Lacks, and I'll get into her later on. That makes us immortal. Because we're sitting up here, born with the most prized and the most powerful substance in the universe. And that's melanin, ladies. And white folks ain't too happy about that at all. Why do you think blacks are being killed out here all over the place and they're calling it black on black crime? I'm not saying there's no gang violence. But when you hear about 80 people, 100 people are shot in Chicago over the weekend, you have to really stop and ask yourself, did that really happen? Or did something else happen? We got cops going around out here in blackface doing this. What's really going on? We have to really leave something to pause. Black on black crime is not what you think it is. That's the way they got it looking. So melanin It's used for everything. If melanin wasn't so magical, it wouldn't be sought after so aggressively. It's being used to fight wars and explore space. Melanin. Okay? We make the world go around if you look at it if you really look at it. Consider we have melanin and all the things that's being done with melanin. Why do you think they don't want us to be educated? Why do you think we have the educational system of indoctrination? Why do you think that it was a capital offense for blacks to learn how to read during slavery? And even in Jim Crow. Let's not even get that confused. And it's still like that. And because we have melanin, that has a lot to do with the quality of our organs, ladies. It does. It plays a vital part to it. We live under this system of white supremacy. This system is cautiously or quote unquote unconsciously is created by Caucasians. It is designed to maximize, potential for white genetic survival. White genetic survival amongst the genetically superior melanated masses. Okay, so in layman terms, since Caucasians can't survive as a species on planet Earth without extreme accommodations, system of white supremacy, racism, genocide, sunblock, etc., is necessary for their survival to improve their genetics. Because you have to remember, their genes are recessive. Blonde hair and blue eyes, white skin, all that's recessive. Or I can go ahead and just call it a birth defect. So they need melanin to survive. And they're trying to improve their genetics. And this is why harvesting our organs, because we're those superior beings, and taking our organs and implanting them into themselves. Look at the movie Get Out. Yeah. Okay, as far as I'm concerned with that movie, hey, they were saying something. They were saying something. Look at the cost here. Look at here. People waiting, like say, for heart and lung. Look at the cost here. And this depending on whatever black market that you're on. But you have some where the price goes dramatically higher. Look at there. If they want a femur, $955. For skin, $16,500. That's for 8 by 10 inch square. For an 8-inch tendon. See, this is different parts. Look at that. Stem cells, for back surgery, $2,550. A jawbone, $3,000. Corneas. Yep, they still those too. Ribs. For hip replacements. These are the price. This is what they're doing. This is serious, scary, spooky business. These are the reasons for trafficking. Forced labor, child soldiers, forced begging, sexual exploitation, forced marriage, selling children, removal of organs. These are reasons behind the human trafficking paradigm. Look at it. Get the eggs. $12,400. People buying eggs illegally. Look at their kidneys. Kidneys make up 75% of the global organ, trade due to diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart problems. So that places this organ in demand to the tune of $200,000. Then you have the womb, surrogate wombs. 20 to 30,000, what they're doing in India. But right here in the good old U.S. of A., American style, 80 to 150,000. You got fertility clinics that are legal both in India and in the USA. But to conceive the red market, you could find a mother much cheaper. See, it depends on what market you're going into. See, theoretically, your body parts are worth up to about $45 million. So it just depends. Look at that bone marrow. $23,000 per gram. So if you got lymphoma and you need a bone marrow transplant, this is what they're doing. This way, got a lot of black women coming up missing, getting those eggs, getting the womb. You find the black women with their wombs missing. You get these schools that buy skeletons so they can teach in the medical schools. Legally, you get a heart for $997,000. Illegally is $119,000. Skeletons, look at there. Corneas was at $24,000. Implanted. So see, there's a lot of financial incentives, to do this here. But yes, the incentive is great to go after our organs because we're melanated people. Look at their livers. Legally, you can get a liver for $557,000. On the black market, $157,000. In the U.S., kidneys, I tell you, $262,000, basically $263,000. In China, $62,000. In India, $15,000. Ligaments and bones, a few $1,000s, depending on which ligament, depending on what you're looking for. And then you got the red market. And I'll go into about the red market. This is serious business. We need to understand who we are as people. And I think as more of us become educated to who we are as people, because of our melanin, we can actually get it together and unite. Because see, that's why they're out here killing us. Because we're born with that universal dominant agent, melanin. And they're using melanin in everything. And you got cases where melanated people are harvesting organs of other melanated people, like the 37 convicted people convicted for organs of other melanated people. 37 convicted for multi-million-dollar illegal organ harvesting operation in Egypt. And they said the goods are usually sold to Caucasian, to white people. And see, even in this, it's weird how blacks are degraded and treated as subhuman, yet our melanin and organs are being harvested because of our genetics are supreme. And see, here's the deal. The reason why they treat us the way they do and degrade us, because they do not want us finding out who the hell we really are and what we really got here. They don't want us knowing that. Why do you think they didn't want us to learn how to read? There's a reason. They didn't want us to learn how to read. Why do you think that? You can't enslave an educated person. This is why you got thousands of black children that are turning up dead with their organs missing. Like those black kids with the Atlanta child murders back in the 70s. I don't believe that black dude did that. Because there was things that was found in the earlobes of little black boys that had cancer-fighting agents and was curing people of cancer. Now, see, we have 123,000 people here in the United States are on the waiting list to get organs. Every 12 minutes, a new name is added to the list. We have 21 people dying every day because of lack of organ availability. But see, they're coming for us. You got the prominent politicians, business people, you got doctors and nurses, and you got the police. Okay, we're going to talk about Henrietta Lacks. Okay, she was a black woman, married, 5 children, who in 1951 had cervical cancer. So when she went in for a biopsy, they was taking her specimens and everything without knowledge or consent. You know, she had this malignant tumor. They weren't doing it about treating the tumor. They wanted to get their hands on her organs. Her organs is called the HeLa line. H-E for Henrietta, which is her first name, and L-A is Lacks for her last name. That's where we get the name the HeLa line. Now, after Henrietta Lacks had passed away, even though she had been dead the first 24 hours after her death, her organs continued to reproduce like popcorn. They just kept reproducing. So they went on ahead and harvest her organs, her cells, everything, and never told her family. They didn't find out until 1973 when somebody did an article about it. So she was one of your earlier cases of organ harvesting, organ trafficking. They've used her organs. They have found cures, vaccines for polio and, and all kinds of things. Polio, diphtheria, chicken pox. People are able to live a better life in spite of being infected with cancer. All different type of things. Diabetes, polio. They use her organs. And her organs have been used everywhere, even up in outer space. Her family is owed billions of dollars. And they've never been compensated. And so it's just been long-standing history, of medical exploitation of black people. Her cells has contributed to modern science, even to this day. And then when they take your cells, they remove your name from it. So there's no connection. So the lady Rebecca Sloop wrote this book about Henrietta Lacks. She's the immortal woman. And so they had her treatment, for cancer. But the doctors, they just isolated, the course of her treatment. Because they knew what was going on with her organs and with her cells. So she became the first immortal human cells, called the HeLa line. The first human to have cells that would continue to reproduce after death. And she's been gone 65 years. Henrietta Lacks has been dead 65 years. And they continue to use her cells in labs all around the world for the past 65 years. And they were all taken without permission. But it's not uncommon. Doctors can legally take your cells, from tissues removed from you for study. They can do it for further study. Under ethical guidelines, of course, which we know they're not doing that, which is supposed to be under the common rule, which we know they're not considering that either. They've been profiting off of Miss Lax. So despite those benefits to health and science that the Gila line cells have caused and the profits they've earned the medical industry, Lack's family didn't know anything about her cells, how they were being used, until 1973, an article where someone spoke about it. So they're supposed to have been, last I heard, they were, suing, going after everybody. And they should. Took this woman's cells and never gave anything to her family. And then you have other people, like this former dentist, who was indicted for stealing more than 1,000 bodies in order to sell body parts and tissues. And this is according to the New York Times. There's a thriving market, for organs, blood, cell stealing around the world. The National Organ Transplant Act of 1984 is supposed to make it illegal to buy and sell organs for transplant here in the U.S. But it's still happening here. They're not giving a crap about that.